Hey guys. So the only thing I really had to talk about today, the only thing that happened really, kind of had something, only really had stuff to do with things that I thought I would be talking about tomorrow. Let me just kind of get my thoughts kind of cleared out, because I'm bouncing around my words and it's not going anywhere at all. Okay, so the only thing that happened today that was worth really talking about had to do with something that in the last video I said I would talk about later. Because it was a 3-day progression of events that were all interconnected with each other, and tomorrow is the last day of that. But since that's the only thing I really have to talk about today, that's what I'm going to talk about. So this is going to kind of have a teaser type of conclusion. Everything that really happened today had to do with me driving. I haven't gotten my driver's license yet. I've had a learner's for quite a few years and just have never had the incentive to actually get driving. But, okay, so yesterday, months ago, I said that I had scheduled my driving exam for the 31st of October. Because that's the only time that the driving instructor is here in this town. But in reality, I only scheduled it just yesterday. I kept putting it off and eventually got to the point where I'm like, if I don't call now, it's going to be too late. And I'm not going to get scheduled. And then I'll have to wait even longer. And not just that, I'm going to have to admit either have to admit that I lied and I didn't actually have it scheduled, or I will have to lie again and try to cover up and be like, yeah, I had it, but I failed. And that didn't appeal to me. That appealed to me less than the other option. So I scheduled it, and conveniently enough, I didn't have to admit that I hadn't scheduled it because nobody asked. But then I told my boss that I had to get time off during this period because that's when I drive, and he was okay with it. I just said that it kept slipping my mind. And yeah, it worked out. So that's what I did yesterday, and then today was all about getting my car ready, making sure there's air in the tires, that all the lights are working, all that crap. Sorry about that. And then a buddy of mine from work took me out, gave me some driving tips to kind of see what I had to work on, and we did all that tonight. And in the driving lessons, when they teach you how to parallel park, they go through all these scientific steps. Sorry I keep coughing, my throat's having a hard time right now. Anyway, they teach you these step-by-step kind of like technical ideas on how to parallel park. You gotta line up parallel with the car you want to parallel park behind. You gotta make sure your back bumpers are lined up, and then you go backwards and start turning right away until you're at a 40-degree angle, and then you go back, and then once your front bumper is clear of the back bumper of the other car, then you can start straightening out and go back, and then go forward and straighten out your wheels. That's the way they teach you in the class, that's the way they teach you in the textbook. But it wasn't working for me tonight. I've done perfect parallel parks before, but for some reason every time I tried to do it using that method, I just kept screwing it up. And the guy who was giving me tips, eventually he was like, okay, you know what? Forget everything your driving instructor taught you during the lessons. Just forget it all. I want you to imagine the center of this car and look behind you, look behind that other car, and imagine where you want the center of your car to end up. And just aim for that. And I'm thinking, okay, this is kind of unconventional, but I'll give it a shot. And I started doing that and just keeping my eye on where I wanted to go, and voila, I ended up first time perfectly where I wanted to be. And then he's like, okay, let's try it again. And pulled out, lined up with the other car, and then looked where I wanted to go, and pulled back there, and perfect lineup again. And he's like, okay, 3 times the charm, let's do this again. And we did it again, and once again, perfect lineup. And then we did it again, perfect. And then we drove off and then picked another random car somewhere and parallel parked behind that one using the same method, and I did it perfect again. So I told him he should be a driving instructor because they don't teach that in the school, in the class, and all that crap. I was really thoroughly impressed that he just came up with that on the spot. Well, he probably uses it himself. It was just the first time he actually taught it to somebody. It really works. Like, I was amazed. I was very thoroughly impressed. This is the same guy who taught me about that solution a couple videos ago that dissolves all this glue and stuff. And he was just like, oh no, I shouldn't have revealed this secret to this guy. He taught me another secret, and this one just works out wonderfully, and he's glad he taught me that this time. This time he's glad he taught me something. So yeah, tomorrow is the test. I'm not expecting to pass. Most people don't pass their first times, I hear. That's what everybody says. They didn't pass their first time, they had to go a second time. Other people are saying that because I'm a bit older, that the instructor might give me a bit of leniency to kind of... He might be a little more willing to let me slide on a few things, because I'm not some punk kid with an attitude thinking that he owns the road, is what I'm hoping. I shouldn't have drank a Monster right before filming this. It's the coughing and feeling of gas. I apologize. So, yeah. I was hoping to tell all this stuff tomorrow after I got the results of the test, so that there'd be kind of a conclusion, a summary of the whole series of events building up to the finale. But I guess I'm just going to have to let you guys know tomorrow how that worked out. I'm not going to be overly disappointed. If I do fail, it'll be understandable. But at least I'll have gone through the testing process, seen what it's like, know what to expect, all that stuff, and then I'll be better prepared for the next time. I'm not the greatest driver, I'll admit. I'm fully willing to admit that. But if I did pass, oh, it would be wonderful. I feel like the first thing I would do would be drive to the next town over to where there's a McDonald's and buy myself a Big Mac as like a victory celebration dinner for myself. It's been a while since I've had one. Or maybe sushi. Sushi would be good. I could really go for some sushi. But then it'll be dark, and driving in the dark is hard for me, because I can... Admittedly, when I was driving tonight, and I was complaining about it being dark, turns out I forgot to turn my headlights on. That would certainly explain a lot of the difficulty I was having. But eventually we figured it out, and things went a lot smoother after that. But I'd much rather drive during the day, especially now that it's winter time and the snow is coming. We've had a good time this past while. I mean, we were supposed to have snow, but it turned out we had like 2 snowfalls and then the snow melted right away. And it's already just about the end of October, and still no snow. That's like a Saskatchewan first. I mean, I'm originally from British Columbia, where you don't really see snow until midway through November. One year we actually didn't have snow until December 24th. Had enough snow and it lasted until throughout Christmas. And then it melted again Boxing Day, and didn't snow again until February. That was a magical year. There are a lot of people out there who like snow. I don't. I have a hard time with the cold. Despite my Nordic heritage, it could be said that I'm allergic to the cold. Quite literally. I'm not just exaggerating. Literally, if I'm out in the snow and in the cold for too long, my hands will swell up, my feet will swell up, I'll actually have an allergic reaction to the snow. How sad is that for somebody with Norse heritage and somebody who grew up in Canada? Yeah. So, that's been my day. And a bunch of other stuff that I didn't think I would talk about. I planned on ending this like 5 minutes ago. Anyway, I hope you all have a great time. at whatever time of day it is for you right now, in this moment that you're watching this. And I'll see you next time. Bye.